Yeah, Tim, have you guys figured out a spring game format at all yet, or are you still kind of going over that? How you might?
Yeah, that's still a work in progress, just because of the depth at certain positions, and so there's a couple of different things that we're looking at on what we'll be able to do based on the health of everybody going into Saturday.
What do you want to accomplish Saturday?
Well, we'd really like to try to get in that 50 to 70 plays of some live scrimmage. So, obviously we can test our tackling, we can test our ability to generate some pressure on the quarterback, and then we can get a real chance to see, at the end of spring ball, which guys are showing up and making plays for us.
In those two areas, the tackling and the putting some pressure on the quarterback, how do you feel like you have evolved this spring?
Obviously there's only so much tackling you can do. I've been pleased when we've been able to go live on what the tackling has looked like. I think you're always striving to try to make it better, even when you're a good tackling team. And so I have been pleased with how our guys have looked out there tackling. And that's where it's so important to get this big chunk now, almost, at least like a half a game or 3/4 of a game to go out there and do it on a consistent basis would be great for us.
Tim, is there anybody who kind of, I guess, has really caught your eye this spring that maybe not necessarily climbed up the depth chart, but somebody who maybe... Yeah,
Rajon Wright, there's no doubt. He has certainly elevated his game. He's playing at an extremely high level right now. He's confident. He looks fast. He understands the scheme now. He understands what we're looking for. And I think he's made a real big jump in his performance this spring.
Hey, Tim, the other Wright, 3rd round, Dallas Cowboys. What are your thoughts about that?
Extremely happy for Nahshon. Obviously, what an awesome opportunity for him. And, just really excited for him to go there and get an opportunity to work in a great organization like that. And I know that I think he'll fit in very well with what that scheme is with Coach Quinn and that Seattle cover 3 scheme, where they'd like to have big corners and like Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner in the past. Those guys are 6'3" and 6'4" respectively. That's where I think Nahshon fits in exactly with what they're looking for. And a lot of times your success at that level depends on getting in the right situation for you and your skill set. And then you can, make it a handful of years and kind of earn your stripes in that league. And so extremely excited for Nahshon. It's awesome.
Ham ends up as an undrafted free agent with New York Jets. What's your message to him? Obviously, disappointed probably he didn't get drafted, but he's got an opportunity.
He's got a great opportunity. I was communicating with him, and I said, it doesn't matter where you start the race. It's where you finish it. And he's got an awesome opportunity to go in there with a new staff there. And so everybody there starting on day one, there's not a set, real depth chart there that coaching staff has worked with in the past. And so I think it's an awesome opportunity for him and to go make a roster. And there's a ton of those stories of guys who've been overlooked and going on to have lengthy NFL careers. And so I know he's going to put the work in and give himself an opportunity.
Tim, I understand this is a bit of a loaded question, but from what you've seen this spring, do you think this could be the best defense you've coached at Oregon State?
I think it has a chance to be that. Obviously, I think our depth is better than it's been since I've been here at almost every level. I think that the continuity of the scheme and the consistency of the position coaches has really helped. You've seen guys grow from being freshmen to sophomore to juniors and now seniors in this system. And I think that will help us. And we have a chance to be the best defense that we've had since I've been here. And so that's exciting.
Talking about guys who have been in the system a while, with Jaydon, what does the next step for him look like going on his 5th year here?
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys, I think, that has really also elevated his game this spring, and he was one of our better players last fall. He's just so confident out there. He's really a coach on the field. He takes charge out there. He runs the back end completely, and he can do a lot of different things for us. He's playing safety. He's playing nickel, just continuing to make plays when the play comes his way. And then, those great players, they make 2 or 3 plays a game that they're not supposed to make. And that's probably what where his game needs to go from there. I mean, he's making all the plays that come his way. It's just that one or two or maybe three plays that you're not supposed to make that he just finds a way to make, and that's what great players do.
Do you see him ultimately ending up at safety or nickel, or is it just going to be a matter of both again?
I see him playing both for us because obviously, it depends whether we're in base defense or nickel defense.
Brian, what do you understand as far as the spring game goes? What the format might be from your side of the ball? Do you know yet, or how it's going to be deployed?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to figure out what kind of numbers we're going to have health wise, but hopefully we'll get to go out there and scrimmage quite a bit to fill most of the time, and I always think it's good to just put guys in those different situations and see how they react and see how they compete, when the lights come on and there's hopefully some people around.
I don't know if this has been asked or not this spring, but we've talked about Sam and how he's performed in practices, but how seriously is he in the mix for the starting job?
It's probably still too early to see. I think for now, he was just kind of, we're going through the install. He was running. I mean, he took the reps with the third group most of the spring. He got it every now and then. You get in there with the second group, but he did a lot of good things. I think he's just kind of learning the system, learning the concepts that we have, and then he's going to have an off season here in this summer to get himself stronger and a little bit quicker. And then I think during fall camp, I'll be able to answer that question to kind of see, just have a better feel for where he's at and physically, and I think with his grasp of the system, if we put him in there with a little bit more with the first and second groups.
Brian, talk a little bit about just the quarterbacks going into summer and what you're going to be looking to see from them, and just how excited are you to see, Chance and Ben, taking another step, and then obviously add Tristan back in the mix.
Yeah, I just think, for both those guys, Chance, I think just, continuing to maybe add a little bit of weight, strength to help with his, durability during the system or during the season. And then Ben, I know we've been talking to him about just continuing to work on, foot quickness, quickening up his feet and, escapability when he makes the decision when things break down to get out of the pocket and be a threat, as he's throwing on the move. I think those are kind of the things that both those guys are focused on. They've got a ton of reps this spring. As far as the offense goes, I think both of them have a really good idea of they're pretty comfortable with what we're doing. So I think a big off season with the strength guys, and then having those guys kind of start to take a little bit of a, leadership and some ownership of the offense as far as, throwing with the receivers and tight ends and organizing, workouts with those guys when the coaches are not around.
Hey, Coach, how excited are you about this offense? Does it have the potential to be one of the best offenses you've coached? I know it's spring, I know it's early, but how do you feel about this offense's potential for the fall?
I think we've got some potential. Right now, I don't know if it's the best offense I've ever coached. I still think we're new at so many different positions, and we don't have the quarterback situation right now. We're not, it's not one guy coming in. We're still rotating a bunch of different guys through there. But I do think we've got some talent, and I think we've got some potential. So I think it's just, we've been in and out of some injuries, and we've pushed so many different guys through that first group this spring. It's just, I think we'll have a better idea to answer that as we get, week 2 of training camp, and we start to kind of see a starting lineup start to present itself, and then I'd probably be able to better answer that question better.
Brian, how close is Tristan to be able to cut loose and do pretty much everything that the other quarterbacks are doing?
He's making good progress. I think that the trainers and doctors have said that he's progressing, on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, and doing a nice job with his rehab. I don't still think he's like that close, but he's able to do some things, and I think he's on schedule, and hopefully, before we get into training camp, he'll be up and running and ready to go.
Coach, Jamar just snuck in there in the 7th round, but he did get drafted by the Lions. What are your thoughts about him being drafted by them? What kind of opportunity is that for him?
Oh, it's an unbelievable opportunity. Jamar's a super talented player, still pretty young, and I just think it's, getting into the right organization and with the right system and having things kind of work out for you there. But I think he's got an awesome opportunity to go in there and compete for a spot on that roster. And he's a competitive kid and great vision and one of the talented backs that I've coached. And so I think we're all excited just to see kind of his future in that league.
Brian, how would you say the receiver room has evolved over your 4 years at Oregon State?
I think we got more speed than we did when I first got here. I think there's a bunch of the guys in that room that are vertical threats, and I think we've got more depth. I don't know that we have right now one guy like an Isaiah Hodgins that just jumps out. This is our go-to receiver, and he's our guy. We've got a handful of guys that I think have stepped up and can fill different roles, and I feel like the depth in that room has improved in the 3, going on year 4 now. To me, I feel like there's 7 guys that we can put in the game, and there's some trust there. You kind of you have trust in those guys to go out and execute.
With all the injuries that have kind of plagued that room this spring, how beneficial do you think the spring's been for somebody like Silas, who's on the peripheral last year and just got?
It's been great. I mean, he's gotten a ton of opportunities, ton of reps, and man, I've been really impressed. I know the offensive staff's been super impressed. I mean, he shows up with the ball in his hand a lot. He makes a lot of plays with the ball in his hand. He's got some elite speed. And I just think he's a good football player. Like, he understands the game. He understands spacing. And it's been fun to watch him develop since he's gotten here. And I just think all those reps that he's gotten on account that a lot of those guys are injured have been really good for him.
Jaydon, would you say this is the best defense you've played on in your time at Oregon State?
I would say we're definitely the most experienced defense that I've been on here at Oregon State. In order to claim being the best, we got to go out there and we got to go and back up the results and show it this season, this upcoming fall. So I guess it's too early to tell, but I'm definitely like what I'm seeing out of this defense and the improvements that we've made over the past 3 years or however long, Coach Smith and his staff's been here.
What in particular feels kind of different this spring than in years past?
I would say competitiveness, just the flying around. I think every single practice you'll see guys flying around, even if, we don't have the best execution day. One thing that you'll always see, every single day this spring practice is us flying around, all 11 guys flying to the ball. So play speed, I think that's one of the biggest things. And then just cohesiveness, just how we play together, knowing where each other is at, helping each other out, communication, different stuff like that.
Hey, how do you feel about Nahshon, 3rd round, Dallas Cowboys? What are your thoughts about that? How excited are you for him?
I couldn't be more, excited, happy, and most of all, proud of him. The work that he put in. I saw it. I saw the progression. This is a goal that he set for himself from day one. I mean, even declaring he was betting on himself, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to see a guy that worked so hard, be able to start to reap the benefits of his hard work and get drafted and pretty high as well.
Well, Ham also is a hardworking guy. What about, obviously he's disappointed, but he's getting a chance, right?
Yeah, definitely. All those guys, Ham, Dunny, all those guys. I think the year before, we had Noah and AP who were undrafted and they both made the 53. So all those guys have, a great opportunity in front of them, whether they got drafted or not. And I know all those guys will be in there and have a chance to compete for a roster spot, just like they have in the past.
Jaydon, it seems like we've heard a lot of defenders this spring kind of talk about that wanting to be better on defense. Have you kind of seen that this spring, and does that kind of go hand in hand with that competitiveness you've talked about?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. One thing that, I was saying, we were always saying after the season is you can't do the same things and expect different results. Over the past few years, it's funny because I've kind of heard the same thing about the defense. You have a lot of promise, or, they have so much potential, what we could be. We're tired of hearing that. We're tired of only being a defense of, could have been or, should have been. We want to go out there and actually be what we're supposed to be and what we know we can be, which is a really good defense.
How do you accomplish that? I mean, you want it, I know, but how do you make that happen?
Well, I think just taking the coaching, like I've always said, execution. And then, like I said, we're playing a lot faster. We're playing a lot more together. So I think you just continue to have great attention to details to your coaching points. And, there's different things that we emphasize on defense, like flying around, like flying to our leverage, tackling to our leverage. All those little things really add up and, make a defense good. So just continue to hone on the little things and take it to our coaching.
Your name often comes up as a team leader. How exactly do you see your role in that regard?
Honestly, that's just how I am. My very first coach I ever had here, he always told me, reach one, teach one. And that's something I kind of live by. The more you're able to, pass down wisdom and knowledge to, like the younger guys in the DB room, the more I'm learning it and kind of mastering it as well. And then off the field, it's just easy. Just caring about my teammates, generally caring about them more off the field than I do on the field is something that I think speaks volume to my teammates and that they, know is true with me. So, yeah.
Is that a role that you had to kind of grow comfortable into taking on, or is that just something that's come naturally since you got to Corvallis?
My first couple of years, it was my first couple of years playing football. I was a basketball player in high school, and I kind of had to get adjusted, kind of had to get comfortable a little bit before young freshman is opening his mouth against the senior. I was kind of scared to lead back then, but I've always had that leadership quality in me. I feel like I've always been kind of a natural born leader. So I wish I could go back and, from day one, just be the leader that I was, but I think it all worked out how it was supposed to.
Champ, we haven't talked to you since you had your injury late last season. What happened and how much did that set you back?
During the Utah game, right in I want to say like around the middle of the second quarter, I just caught a drag underneath route. Was running full speed, thinking I was about to score, ended up getting tackled close to the sideline and fell on my shoulder. Usually it was a routine fall. It was the way I fall every other time I get tackled in that fashion. And when I got up, I didn't feel any pop or anything along those lines. I just got up and I could kind of feel my left shoulder a little weak. So I just went to the sideline to get it checked out, and it ended up being a separation. I ended up separating my shoulder, but it hasn't set me back. I don't think too much. I think my recovery has been pretty speedy so far. So,
how has the receiver room evolved during your time at Oregon State?
That's a great question. I think the best way to answer that would be to say confidence. I think we've gotten a lot more confident just because of the fact that we have a lot of guys in the room with game experience. And then consistent. I think us having the same offensive coordinator, the same head coach, the same position coach, the same, faces in the room for the most part. I think that's allowed everybody to kind of find a role, settle into a role, and find a way to impact the room in some way. You may not be one of the 3 or 4 guys who's starting every game, but I think everybody in our room kind of understands what role they need to play, where they need to fit in, and really how to benefit the room. Everybody in there plays a role. So I think that's how it's developed since I've been here.
Hey, Champ, what's it like now, speaking of that, being now one of the team leaders on offense and a veteran yourself, how different do you feel in this camp compared to others because of, hey, like you say, your experience?
I don't think I feel too much different. This isn't a role that I'm new being in. I've been a leader on every level of football that I've played on. It takes a little time to reach that role. And I think now is just the time for me to step into it. I'm one of the older guys in the room. Myself and Trayvon are two of the older guys in the room. We have the most game experience. So I don't think it's changed the way that I've approached spring or practice or anything like that. I think I've always been a guy who, I'm not a big rah-rah guy. I'm not one of those guys who, just because I'm a quote unquote leader, now I'm going to, be the most vocal. I kind of try to lead by example. I give people pointers here and there, and I kind of just try to, help where I can. I think being available for guys who need help and not being a rah-rah guy, that's kind of my thing. So that's kind of how I've been approaching it.
You've had a busy spring, 3 different quarterbacks throwing the ball to you. What are your thoughts about those 3 guys, the kind of balls they throw and the potential they have?
I think all those guys have great potential. I've been really impressed with Sam and Ben for being so young. Both of them are super talented. Ben throws an effortless ball. Sam makes plays that aren't supposed to be made at times. I think as both of them continue to get older and they just continue to get experience with in the game at some point and experience in practice, getting reps with, the older guys. I think that as they start to develop and get more confident and, just understanding the offense in and out all the way through. I think that both of those guys have great potential. And as far as Chance, he has game experience. So everybody's seen, the potential that he has. So I think all three of those guys have had a great spring. They're off to a great start. And I think we're in good hands at that position.
Champ, you talked about like you yourself not being a rah-rah guy. Is there anybody in that receiver room who like does it really effectively?
I don't think we have ever needed one of those guys in our room. I think our room is a reflection of who our position coach is, and Coach Fentz is not a very loud rah-rah guy. Everybody has it in them. We're all passionate about the game. We're all passionate about what we do. And, all of us are stand-up guys in that room. So, people, it can get that way if things need to be. But I think our room, the personality of our room is more laid back, more, everybody understands what they have to do. We're going to be professional about it. We're going to come in and everybody's going to handle business. There is really no need for the rah-rah. When it's time for that, we have guys, everybody is viable to step into that role and get vocal if things need to be that way. But for the most part, our room is a laid back room. And everybody in there understands what we need to do. Everybody in there is pretty good about coming in and handling their business. So I don't think we have too much of that going on.
Hey, Silas, just I guess how much fun has the spring been for you? I mean, just getting all these reps in and obviously getting to run with the ones and twos a lot.
It's been great. Just working on it every day, just showing what I can do each and every day. Just good, I guess.
Can you kind of take me through what the 2020 season was like for you? I mean, coming in here and obviously kind of a crazy environment, but I guess what did you learn during the games?
Throughout my time, like during the 2020 season, it was just a great learning experience. Traveling each and every game was just great. Learning from the other guys, and then getting a little run in the last game was exciting. Just to get like a feel for it. I'm just excited.
Yeah, how cool was that those moments in the Arizona State game? Like you said, getting that run.
It felt good. I was a little nervous, but once I got out, I was like, "Who did this college football? I'm ready." It was great just to be out there, just playing in front of being able to see knowing my family's watching. It was just great.
Silas, we've seen you make some pretty good plays this spring. Do you just feel how much more comfortable do you feel now, just compared to maybe last year?
I feel way more comfortable. I feel like last year I was trying to get the hang of everything, but now I feel like I'm actually like more so doing it than trying to like pick up everything fast. So I just feel like it's been a great spring so far.
Obviously, the first time we've gotten a chance to talk to you, how often do you talk with your brother, and did he kind of give you some pointers coming into Oregon State and Corvallis at all, and you kind of let him know how practice is going or anything like that?
Yeah, we talk every day. He gives me pointers whenever we talk. Just a great mentor on and off the field. Someone I always look up to. That's about it.
What do you think you've kind of most improved in your game since you arrived in Corvallis?
I think I've been able to actually see coverages now. When I first got up here, it was kind of like blurry, wasn't as clear. But now I'm up here, I can actually see the coverages, know what I'm supposed to do, and stuff like that. It's been great so far.
So it just kind of feels like the game's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, it slowed down. I feel like when I first got up here, it was a little fast, coming from high school. So it's been great that the game has slowed down.
How good is the chemistry in this receiver room right now? All those guys we talked to, it just seems like it's kind of working like one well-oiled machine. How much fun is it to be a part of that?
It was great. Just being a part of a great group of guys like that is awesome. It's always great to have like a group of teammates like that. We talk with each other on and off the field. It's just great to have a great group of teammates and receivers like that.